Hello ladies and gentlemen, this is my comprehensive review on the Husqvarna Svartpilen 401. So to get started on a few simple things about this motorcycle, it's a 373cc single cylinder by KTM, same frame as the Duke. This one here I have in particular is the 2021 model of the Svartpilen 401. You've got two different types of this motorcycle. You've got the Svartpilen and you've got the Vitpilen. The Vitpilen is very similar to this. In fact, it's almost identical. The only key difference that you have is the handlebars and the tires. Other than that, everything is genuinely the same. Vitpilen offers more of a cafe racer style motorcycle, whereas this is more of a scrambler type thing. So, I mean, a few pros to it, I will say. It's reliable. So many people I've met have gone, no, don't get a KTM, they're unreliable. I am currently making this video in Beauvais, France. That is my motorcycle from La Línea de la Concepción in Spain. I drove this thing from Spain, at the southmost point of Spain, to Switzerland, France, Germany type area, and it's still going about. So that has to say something about the reliability of it. It's got 44 horsepower, so it's very A2 friendly. It's very flickable, so it feels to me, after riding it for a long time now, it feels like a 125 in as far as the weight and the handling goes, but then it's also got the punch of, you know, a 373cc single. It's not got the highest highway top speed. This thing redlines at 175 kilometers per hour. I've tested that on the Autobahn, by the way, so nothing to worry about there as far as legalities go. I think that maybe the Vitpilen has a slightly higher gear ratio, but I don't know. I've never driven one, so I wouldn't be able to tell you. I'm sure you could change the top speed of it by altering the rear sprocket, and you know, you change the gear ratio that way. But I mean, I've not touched anything on this motorcycle. The only things I've done to it is I added a throttle lock, because, you know, driving long distances, you want to be able to just click the thing into place and then it will cruise and you can just take your hands off. Not that you would, but you can, you know, just to like rest your arms for a little bit or anything like that. First off, you need that to drive in Switzerland. Second off, that's a little guardian bell my girlfriend got for me. Over here we got the dashboard, very basic minimalist dashboard. When you turn the key, that's your red line light. You've got your neutral, check engine light, high beam, ABS. ABS light and the check engine light will be on when you turn the key. As soon as you start the bike, this light goes away, and as soon as you start rolling, the ABS light goes away. It lets you know if the side stand is down. You've got a little triangle to give you a warning of some kind, and if you don't care about that, especially if you go to low fuel, it will give you the triangle and it will say low fuel. So you press mode and it goes back to your range and it tells you everything. As you can see here, I've got 13,460 kilometers on my bike. I bought this thing with 3,900 and I've had it for less than a year. So I've done a fair bit of distance with it. As far as off-roading goes, I know that it is advertised to people as kind of a scrambler that can do all, right? But have a look at this. Ground clearance. Let me just use my hand as an example. It's not very much. Now you might think, oh, I don't really care, you know, I'm not bad. But I've had many occasions where I've gone off-roading, things bottomed out, and I've gone, oh, for fuck's sake. And I've often thought, oh, well, it's the exhaust. The exhaust is what actually lowers the ground clearance, because to the engine, I can't actually, yeah, I can just about. But the reason Husqvarna decided to do this on the 2021, it used to get routed through here. People complained about the heat. I've never had any heat problems with it personally, so I reckon I probably could do that, but just keep it stock, keep it simple. You get problems coming up as soon as you start tampering with things, even if you know what you're doing. One thing I will say that I absolutely loved when I got this thing, the handlebars, these little icons, they all light up. You can kind of see it here with this one. If I turn the key off, yeah, they all light up, and in the dark it looks so cool. Additionally, indicators, LED, front and back. High beam is also LED. I don't think it will Yeah, it's not going to be too visible in the daylight and also when the engine's off. But I assure you, this is an LED. You can see the LED housing right there. So it's LED, I promise you. And it's just a all in all great motorcycle, very reliable, very A2 friendly, beginner friendly if you're looking to get one. This one goes for 5,000 euros new. I got this one for I think 4,500-ish because it had a few kilometers on it already. And you know, additionally, tires. They're pretty good for off-road, I will say. I've been on quite loose gravel type scenarios or some sandy terrain. These are the Pirelli Street Rally SRT, whatever. I'm sure some tyre guru can tell me. I don't care. I just know that they're all right. But I don't particularly trust them on the road. And as you can see, I kind of almost pushed them to their limits already. But when you get into some sort of rainy situations, you've got a much lower contact patch. And there's been a few times on roundabouts where the back wheels kicked out, but I've not quite fallen off. You have to be careful with them. You don't go too hard, okay? That's just all I will say about the tyres. The brakes, disc brakes. You've got Vibri brakes. I seem to remember hearing something about them. They're pretty good. I've never had a problem with the brakes. They've always done pretty good for me. Suspension, WP, Apex. I've bottomed them out, as you can see by the rubber ring. And you're supposed to put them back up all the time, but I'll just bottom it out again on the next time I go off-roading. But I've battered this suspension so much that I've bottomed the bike out hardcore. You can tell just by the rubber ring. Never had a fork seal leak or anything like that, but again, it has been less than a year. Now, a few things people say to me is, what's the update with that Husqvarna you had? Oh my goodness, don't even get me started with that Husqvarna. I had problems with it when I made that video, and I'd only driven it about 4,000 kilometers, if that. And it was just a nightmare, you know. The regulator went, the clutch started grinding, the gears started slipping. It's supposed to be a Suzuki engine, that one. Never again am I ever going to get that motorcycle, because it just ended up costing me so much money, and people I paid, they knew it was just too much hassle, and they just take my money and disappear. So, if you're going to buy a Husqvarna, especially a GT 650R, don't bother, because it's just... I've heard too many bad things, and I thought with my one, oh, maybe it's an exception case. No, it's not an exception case. They're just shit, right? Problems I've had with this bike. So the only few things I've had is the other week, I was driving along, and my shifter rod, this nut, fell out, and this shifter went limp. I had to go to a mechanic shop in Geneva. I was in Geneva at the time, and I had to wait a week to get my bike back because they needed a spacer and a nut that was very specific, apparently. I said, load of bollocks, but I don't really have much option because, well, you're the experts, as you say. So I couldn't do anything about it. Other problem I had, oil filter cap. So I kind of broke one of the bolts. I'm not gonna lie, I did a stupid. I did an oil change on the bike and I thought everything was right. I didn't grease the O-rings because I didn't have any grease with me. I was like, you know, it'll be fine. I'll just be really careful with it. It didn't work. I think I pinched the O-ring because it didn't slide into place too well. And I noticed an oil leak under my bike. I thought, oh, that's strange. I'll just whip out my toolkit after tracing it back to here. And I tightened this bolt here and it just snapped. I had to fucking extraction bolt, get that out, get a new bolt. It was super hard to find an M630 HH collar screw. So I had to find a specific KTM one, order that in. And that was just before driving here. So I had an oil leak, very small one, the whole time I drove up here. So it's like top up, tighten the chain, top up, almost every now and then. Also, something very, very important to mention about this motorcycle. In the manual, it states that you need to give it 15W50 semi-synthetic oil. 1550 is a very wide range oil that will be suitable for a lot of different climates, so you can take it many different places. Majority of bikes, they take 1040. Now I will say you've got, you know, organic, semi-synthetic, fully synthetic, and personally I don't think it matters, because at the end of the day it's the viscosity that matters and the lubrication that matters. Whether or not it was made in a lab, half made in a lab, or not made in a lab, doesn't matter. But it's very difficult to find 1550 oil. You need to go to motorcycle racing shops. You need to go to specialists that have this type of stuff. The KTM place I went to that was in Geneva, they didn't have any 1550, and I wanted to buy some because I needed some more oil because I ran out. Which, by the way, I have a bottle now, a 1 litre bottle of Motul, fully synthetic. It's not semi-synthetic, but again, doesn't matter. But if you're looking at getting into maintaining your motorcycle yourself, people say this is a very high maintenance motorcycle. I wouldn't say so. I've done an oil change once or twice on it now. I can't remember, I lost count. But I say the hardest part is getting the oil. Other than that, it's all right. I'm going to have it checked really soon. I'm not going to do it myself because where I am right now I don't have the tools or the space or the parts, so I'm going to get it oil changed and valve clearance checked and a new chain, because it's almost stretched fully out and I'm not about to pop a link out and continue because you've already stretched the bearings. But anyways, that has been my review on the Husqvarna Svartpilen 401. If you have one, please do let me know and tell me if you've had any bad experiences or good experiences for that matter with this motorcycle. What I will say is I personally absolutely love it to bits, and I definitely will miss it when I get rid of it and inevitably upgrade to a much bigger bike, which will maybe happen in the near future, but I don't know. You know, we'll have to see. Anyways, thank you very much for watching and have a wonderful day.